Matthew was not the kind of person people admired. He worked as a tax collector, collecting money from his own people for the Roman government. Many believed tax collectors were dishonest, taking extra money for themselves. Because of this, Matthew was seen as a traitor, someone to avoid. One day, as Matthew sat at his tax booth, counting money like he always did, something unexpected happened. Jesus walked by. He looked straight at Matthew, not with anger or judgment, but with understanding. Then Jesus said just two simple words, "Follow me." That moment changed everything. Matthew didn't argue. He didn't ask questions. He stood up, left his money, his booth, his old life, and followed Jesus. Just like that. Later, Matthew invited Jesus to his house for a meal. Many of his friends came too, people just like him, tax collectors and others looked down on by society. When religious leaders saw this, they were shocked. They asked Jesus' disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with sinners?"
But Jesus heard them and replied, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." With those words, Jesus made it clear, no one is beyond hope. No one is too far gone. As Matthew followed Jesus, he saw incredible things. He watched Jesus heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and even raise the dead. He listened as Jesus taught people how to live with love, humility, and faith. One of the most powerful teachings Matthew witnessed was when Jesus spoke to a crowd on a hillside. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the merciful, the peacemakers, the pure in heart." These words were different from anything people had heard before. Jesus wasn't focused on power or wealth. He was focused on the heart. Matthew listened carefully. Every word mattered. And as time went on, he realized that Jesus was not just a teacher. He was the promised Savior. But the journey was not easy. Some people followed Jesus, but many rejected him. Religious leaders grew angry and jealous. They didn't like how Jesus challenged their authority or welcomed people they had pushed away. Then came the darkest moment.
Jesus was arrested, put on trial, and sentenced to death, even though he had done nothing wrong. Matthew watched as Jesus was mocked, beaten, and nailed to a cross. It was painful, confusing, heartbreaking. The man who had changed his life was gone. Jesus died, and his body was placed in a tomb. For a moment, it felt like hope had disappeared. But the story didn't end there. 3 days later, something incredible happened. The tomb was empty. Jesus had risen from the dead. He appeared to his followers, alive and full of life. Fear turned into joy. Doubt turned into belief. Everything Jesus had said was true. Before he left them, Jesus gave his disciples one final mission. He told them to go into the world and share his message, to teach others about love, forgiveness, and new life. Matthew never forgot where he came from. He knew he had been given a second chance, and so he wrote down everything he had seen and learned, the life, teachings, death, and resurrection of Jesus, so that others could hear the story too. The story of Matthew reminds us of something powerful. No matter who you are or what you've done, your story can change. You are never too far from a new beginning. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one call to change your life forever.